Welcome to Conscious Co-Creations, straight talk about the mind, body, business, and spirit. And I'm really excited today because today I have the wonderful Cristi Earnshaw with me. And we're going to be talking about wonderful things about energy and abundance. So welcome, Cristi.
Thanks, Carly.
And what is your nickname?
Well, they call me the Abundance Whisperer.
I think that's a wonderful nickname to have. How did you become the Abundance Whisperer?
Well, I've been reading energy inside homes and inside people's personal items since I was 6 years old. And when I was talking about it about a little over a year ago, someone actually named me that. They actually were like, "Oh, that sounds like an abundance whisperer," and then it just stuck, and then I've just been going since then.
I think it's a wonderful thing. I think so many people don't understand how energy can really affect one's abundance. So can you share with people how that affects abundance? How does energy and abundance actually interact with one another?
Well, I believe that everything that you own is an extension of your own energy. So that's why it directly affects you. So if you have items that you don't love, that you're not currently using, it can actually block the new abundance from coming into your life.
So why don't you actually talk a little more about that? How do you think that actually happens? Like, why do you think that when we actually own things, or how do you think that energy actually attaches to things? I mean, how do you think that actually works?
Because we have an emotional attachment to what we own. So say we have something out of obligation, and say we're keeping something out of guilt. And for example, I had a client that had these chicken plates in her kitchen, and she kept them because her mom gave them to her and passed away. But she kept them out of guilt. She's like, you know what? My mom's not with me anymore, but she wasn't loving them and she wasn't using them. So it's of course much better to release that to someone else who will love and use them, so she can bring in what she currently likes. So what she did was she actually ended up donating these plates because she had jewelry and clothes of her mom's that she can, for sentimental value. And within a week, she actually attracted a free trip to Spain. So that's how fast the energy can work.
I noticed you have a beautiful thing behind you, which I know what it is. I'd love for you to actually share with people what Lakshmi is about, because I know a lot of people don't understand. I mean, you and I could talk about a lot of these things, but I love sharing a little bit about spirituality with people. So can you actually move a little bit to the side and share what that beautiful thing behind you is?
Well, this is Lakshmi, and one of my clients actually brought this to me from India. She's basically the deity of abundance. So she actually helps you basically know that you are abundant. In spirit, we're all abundant. And she just is, it's who the Indians actually pray to bring in their abundance. She's very special.
Actually, Lakshmi is one of my favorite chants, by the way. I love chanting to Lakshmi. Anyways, I'd also love to talk about, like, I know you actually go in people's homes and you actually go through their homes, and we had actually talked a little bit about going to people's homes, and we actually aren't going into Feng Shui, but you actually brought up something that was very fascinating about not actually doing Feng Shui before you actually find out when you're organizing. So talk a little bit about organization and not doing Feng Shui before you'd actually organize, because that's actually something people don't realize.
Yeah,
so touch upon that.
Yeah, I've studied Feng Shui off and on for about 7 years, and what I found out is if you Feng Shui a cluttered home, it actually can go against the energy. So it's really important that you declutter your home before you apply Feng Shui principles, because it actually can make the energy worse. And an example could be if someone puts a mirror up, by the front door, if they want to basically bounce off the energy of the flow coming into their home, but it's reflecting a pile of paper clutter, it actually can block the abundance. It actually can make it worse. So it's really important not to Feng Shui a cluttered home.
So basically what you're saying is you want to organize the home first, make sure you unclutter first, and then go about Feng Shuiing a home.
Yes, definitely. Don't Feng Shui. It just doesn't make sense. And Feng Shui practitioners usually don't go into that, because if they told all their clients, look, your home should be completely decluttered before you apply this, they'd be waiting for months to have a client because they're like, oh my goodness, I have to do this now. But that's usually the general rule of thumb. Don't feng shui a cluttered home.
And talk about how you actually go about working with the client. How do you actually, when you go into a home, what is your first step with the client?
Well, when I go in to do the abundance whispering, first we talk about intentions because I believe in angels or higher spirits, and so I want them to be working with their angels, with their spirit guides. So we put out to the universe their top 3 that they want them to work on to help them bring into their lives. So first we get clarity with that, and then I go through their home. I usually go around clockwise. I look in cabinets, in drawers, because there's really no such thing as hidden energy. And intuitively, I'm being told certain items in the home that could be blocking someone's abundance from coming in. A good example could be a client I had. She actually had a very decluttered home, but her books, she has some books in her office, and I'm like, so what's going on with your books? And she was actually keeping them for other people. She was a practitioner, and she's like, well, if I have the perfect book, I could give them the book at the end of the session. But in reality, it's really important to just keep the books that you love, that you read over and over, because if you give someone a book and they're not ready to read it, then it's going to sit on their bookshelf for another year. So it's just really important to, again, to only have what you love and currently use. That is going to be the highest energy in your home.
Now, you and I have talked before we were having this conversation now. Something else that you brought up that was really fascinating, that is very true, I'd like to bring up is someone could have the most uncluttered house to the naked eye. So someone could come into, for example, my home that was very organized and clean, yet there's going to be a hidden cluttered area that someone else may not see that you're going to find. Maybe that secret area that I'm keeping stored, for example. So talk about that, because a lot of people don't realize that everybody has a secret cluttered area that they're unconsciously aware of. So actually talk about that, because I thought that was really fascinating.
Well, yeah, you're right. It's like people they can keep their house completely decluttered and it looks great to the naked eye, but we all have areas. We all have an area that we love and we don't like to release. Some people, it's their books. Some people, it's their shoes. Some people could have a hidden storage area or a unit like 20 miles away that no one knows about. But that actually affects their energy. It doesn't matter if they're actually living in it. If they own it, it's part of them, because we're energy. Everything we own is energy. So that's why everything we own is an extension of our energy. Now, the example of the lady that had the books, she had a very decluttered home, but intuitively I'm being told she has, money potential in her books. So when she was able to release the books, like she was an author, and she actually hired me to come in and open up her creativity. And she was 2 months into the book, she couldn't get the title of the book, and I'm being told intuitively that it's actually her books that are blocking that information from coming in. So when she went through what I call doing a prosperity project, the combination of decluttering and energy work together, and she released the books that she didn't love and read over and over. She did this project as I'm leaving the door. Within 2 hours, she had the name of her book. So that's how fast the energy can work.
Another thing that I always felt was really fascinating is I always try and explain to people how we treat everything plays out in all areas of our life. So basically, if we're willing to throw our clothes on the floor, how does the universe think we treat, in other words, we're teaching people how to treat us. So if we're throwing our clothes on the floor, how does that actually play out in other areas of our life, how people, in other words, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
how do we respect things? So if we're throwing our clothes on the floor, how do we treat other things in our life?
Well, I see that as if you live in clutter or you live in messiness, it's an unworthiness. So if you're doing that with your items, you're going to get that, you're going to get treated that way from other people because you're not respecting an extension of yourself, which I believe is what we own. So if you have little messes everywhere, you really have there is a sense of unworthiness, of not deserving. And so when you get shafted by someone else, then it's kind of like them not respecting you, and you not feeling that you deserve the best from life.
Exactly. So, in essence, we're teaching people how to treat us by how we treat other things.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's really fascinating. I always tell clients that when and anywhere I go, whether it be I even see their car, if their car is a mess, when I walk people to their cars, I can tell instantly how they treat their car when I'm walking into. You know what I mean? And I love walking my clients to their cars because I intuitively then know what I'm walking into. I know how difficult the client's going to be. I know intuitively then exactly what type of office I'm going to be walking into,
Yeah.
right? I instantly know exactly the minute when they open their car door, if there's trash on the floor in their car, how their exterior of their car looks. I know exactly what I'm walking into. And it
Yeah.
tells me how they respect themselves, how they respect not just themselves, their items, which is an extension of themselves, right? And so it's a really
Exactly.
fascinating thing. And when you talk to people and you actually explain that to them, it's like this is an extension of you, and you're actually telling me how you value yourself and others. And they're like, oh, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, they think of stuff as just their stuff, but it actually is part of them. And the car they say represents your physical self, and it would be almost like wearing dirty clothes all the time if you have a mess in your back seat or like on the floor. And when people look inside my car, they're like, "Oh, it's so clean." I'm like thinking everyone should have a clean inside car because it's like I said, it's like you wouldn't wear dirty clothes over and over, and your car can literally represent your physical self. So you're driving around, it's a part of you. You want to keep it nice and clean and orderly for sure.
Well, I want to take that one step further. I actually was just teaching a course on time management and organization management, and I actually mentioned the car, and someone got a little defensive, and they actually made the comment, would you have any kids? And I actually didn't make a comment back because I didn't want to get into a whole contest about that. However, back in the 80s, I ran a New Thought preschool. And I did. I had a minivan, and I had 6 kids in there. And I ran the preschool. I was certified by the state, and I was certified group daycare, and I ran it as like I said, a New Thought preschool, which is called Learning, Playing, and Growing Incorporated. And I had 6 to 8 kids in my home at any given time. And of course, I had a staff. It just wasn't only me. However, my home was as clean as was that minivan. And basically, the kids had plenty of time to roam around and play and do all those things. However, I also taught them respect for themselves and items. And any time they played, and they also were taught that after every playtime, there was cleanup time. And anytime they were in that minivan, yes, they did have snack time. They weren't eating in the car, right? When we had snack time, it was before we got into the minivan. To and from places, they were taught, respect. And we did go to plenty of places in that minivan. You know what I'm saying? And so but it was funny when I brought up the cleanliness of the car, how people that did have kids go, do you have any kids? You know what I'm saying? They thought just automatically because they had kids that gave them the automatic out to have a messy car. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I have clients that have kids and have clean cars, so I don't think that's an excuse. Yeah, it's okay to have a few toys lying around, but it doesn't mean it has to have a lot of junk food wrappers and food, and so that's not an excuse. I mean, yeah, a couple days here and there, that's fine, but in general, it should still be a clean car with 1, 0, or 10 kids.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was really interesting to have someone get really riled up when when I was teaching a course just recently and said, "Oh, do you have any kids?" When I mentioned the whole car analogy about having a clean car. So it was really fascinating.
Yeah, the kids will be an excuse usually, but it doesn't. It's harder to keep it clean, but it's not impossible. You can still have a clean car with kids.
Now let's actually get into the whole spirituality and abundance factor. When people say, "Oh, we can't be spiritual and abundant," what are your thoughts on that one?
I believe that actually God created us to be abundant, that we're here to actually reflect His abundance. So I don't go with you have to be poor and spiritual, because if you we are really extensions of God, then we have all the abundance we'll ever need while we're here. So I believe it does go hand in hand to be spiritual and prosperous at the same time.
Now, I know you also, like me, do sessions, obviously, because of world of technology. Do you do sessions through Skype? You do sessions on the phone? How is it that you can do sessions through Skype and through the phone and still feel or see energy?
Well, because there's no barriers with energy, it's happening all the time. You can't see it, and intuitively I'm being told this anyway, like what's happening in the house. That's why I don't necessarily have to see the items. I prefer to see it because I like the visual of it. But someone can literally just tell me, okay, I'm in the kitchen now, and we talk about what's in the kitchen. And intuitively I'm being told, ask them about ask them about their forks, or ask them about their utensils they're not using. So your intuition actually says everything. So that's why it's not necessary to see the energy. I'm going to receive the messages no matter what. I just prefer to see it. So yeah, I do work. If they're in LA, I'll work with them in LA. But I work with people in Germany, Singapore, Canada, Argentina. And that's what's so great about this, with technology, that you can do it over Skype, you can do it over the phone. So yeah, energy has no barriers, no boundaries, and you can read it anywhere, anytime, any place.
Now, what are your thoughts on, we're talking about energy. Energy, I think, to me, is just like a linear, or even, we can talk about energy in many different modalities, and I know you're a Reiki master, I'm a Reiki master, and I think a lot of people don't really understand a lot of energy, or, what are chakras, and, is it something that's tangible, untangible, intuition. I think for most people, I think it's now more and more, I think it's about really finding, I think everybody is psychic. I think the main thing people need to understand is actually tuning into their bodies, starting to really listen to their bodies. I think the only difference between you and I and other people is that we've actually tuned into ourselves more, and have actually studied it more, and have actually honed into ourselves more. I think everybody has the capacity to listen to themselves, and has the capacity for inner intuition, and has the capacity for psychicness. I think it's just that most people have turned it off and haven't literally, no one's really guided them, or have listened to their inner intuition, or have actually said, you know what I'm saying, like from being children, like no one's actually fostered it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, you're right. I believe we're all born with intuition, but some of us are just more sensitive to it. Some of us are able to hear it more clearly, and that's why it's important with the clearing of our own energy, just like, for example, our stuff, because it literally clears up clears out our awareness. It opens up our awareness, so it's easier to hear our intuition. Because if we just followed our intuition, everything is literally handed to us, because it's there. Our resources are always there, and I think it's really important also to teach people. I love to teach people the difference between your intuition and your ego. Like, which thought system are you listening to? And many people think their ego is actually themselves, but we're actually the awareness listening to two different voices. Are we listening to the ego or our intuition? Our intuition is for our highest self, but we all have the ability to be intuitive. I believe we all have intuition built in. It's just some of us listen to it and some of us do not. Some of it's easier to hear, and some of us have too much cloudiness in our consciousness.
Another thing I'd love to bring up is attics and garages and basements. When I owned my house, one of my houses, and it was a very large house, people were fascinated that my basement was literally clutter-free and literally empty, and my attic. And I kept on telling them, it's like, why would I want to have an attic full of stuff, or my garage in my basement? It was they were like fascinated. I'm like, well, if I'm not going to use it, why do I want it up there? Yes, we have Christmas and we have Christmas ornaments. However, I had literally like 4 bins in my attic, and I was like, I would like shop for birthday presents, and I had like 4 bins literally for Christmas, I'd have a birthday bin, but I literally had labeled, like they were very organized and labeled. But I didn't have like mountains and mountains of stuff. And they were like just fascinated by that. Like, well, what about, family heirlooms and family memories and, family this and, don't you have stuff from when you were a child and all this? And I'm like, my memories are in my brain. I don't need all this stuff. And I actually got this one point when I was in my, I'm 48 now. I think it was actually in my 30s. And I actually took all this stuff and I literally threw it in the dumpster one day. And people were like, they were actually in awe. Actually, my friends, when they actually saw me do this, like, you're actually throwing out all this history. And I'm like, I don't need all this history. It's just like literally dragging me down. And they literally saw me throw all this stuff in the dumpster, and they were just like, you're crazy. I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't need all this stuff. And obviously, I always do 3 piles. Give away, recycle, and throw away. It was like that simple, and they were just in absolute awe. But it's like I have this vision of like when you pass away, and you're actually causing all this problems for other people to have to actually get rid of all this stuff when you pass away. And going in these attics with just stuff, And so what are your thoughts on those 3 areas?
On the attics, on basements and storage units?
And garages.
Oh, well, you, of course, have the ideal situation. You do want to have them clear. It's okay. I just remember we had a large house growing up, and our attic was full of stuff. It's like, oh, my. And I think people actually think because they have a garage and they have an attic, they need to stuff it with extra stuff. But it's definitely, if people know exactly what's in their attic, what's in their garage, and they're loving it and they're using it, then there's no problem having it. But ideally, you want to be able to fit your cars in your garage. Your garage is not a storage unit, nor is your attic. And that's the mistake people do, is they think, well, their attic, they could just put a bunch of junk up there. But again, if you're going to have family heirlooms or, family memories, it's fine to have that, but you can still go through it and release the ones that you don't really care about, sell it, donate it, give it away, re-gift it. But yeah, it's good to have it nice and clear. It doesn't have to be filled up because, again, it's clutter. Clutter in your home is clutter in your mind.
And it's just fascinating to me, though. It's like, and they just never ever go through it. They never use it. It just is just mounds of dust. I think it's like you said. If you're going to use it, you take it out If you're going to take it out every Christmas and it brings joy to you, every year. Oh, it's like you're opening up a Christmas package and it fills you with joy and love. Absolutely keep that stuff. But if it's something you never open, it's just sitting there. And sitting there and sitting there, to me, that's just a waste of energy. But if it's something that you take out and when you open it up every year, it brings tons of joy to you, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, that to me is just, that's where I draw the line about keeping stuff. It's got to bring joy to you when you open it up every year. Otherwise, get rid of it. Give it to someone else that's going to use it.
Exactly, on the same page.
Exactly. So what else do you have going on?
Well, I just started a new service called Abundance Whispering for Your Business, which I'm super excited about because I get to work with business owners and entrepreneurs. But it's a whole new way to look at your business. It's more of a metaphysical way, having a higher consciousness with your business. So I combine the Abundance Whispering, reading the energy in the office space with what I call contact basing. It's a unique way of reaching out to people and actually reconnecting with people we've met in our past, getting current with them. And what's been happening is all these new opportunities come out of that because you're getting order in your personal contacts. So I'm really excited about the new service just because I love helping people build their business. And people are they're not great promoters with themselves. Like, I love to promote other people, but I know, like, my entertainment clients, oh my God, they hate promoting themselves. Even talking about a show they're on, or a comedy gig they're doing. But it's really important to let that be known and be current with people what you're doing. And that's all about, just sharing your gift. It's really about showing them different ways, about their business, about their being an entrepreneur. And when they have a different view of it and they're looking at it as a way to serve, then they're going to put a whole new energy into their business.
So talk a little bit more about that. How are you doing that? How does that work?
Well, I go into the home if they're in LA, and I go into the office space, and first I read the energy in just the office space like I do the entire home. And then I ask them what they're doing for their databasing, ask them what they're doing currently for their social media, and then intuitively I'm being told specific ideas for them, for their business, for them either they're in their current business or trying to build a new business. So it's really specialized for each particular person. But it's really first reading the energy of what's going on, because really if you have a cluttered desk or, like a lot of disorder in your workspace, it's not going to happen as fast. It's the clutter in the mind as well. So first we want to look at that, what's happening in the space where they're trying to build their business, and then we're going to look into the strategies they're currently doing to build their business and see if we can bring in a higher consciousness for that. Like look at the energy behind it, how they're promoting themselves, how they're reaching out to others, and a better way for them to be of service. Because I believe that we're shifting within society more from a material-based society to a service-based society. So people really want to be taken care of. They want to know that their business matters, that they matter to that other person. So it's really a new way of looking at their business, which I'm very, very excited about.
Oh, that sounds great. That one of the terminologies I like to use is conscious business principles.
Love it, love it. It's perfect.
Yeah, that to me is like the new business principles that are coming out is conscious business. I think that more and more people are starting to talk about conscious business leadership, conscious business principles. I think more and more, the business is going that way. People are starting to shift, and more people are starting to talk about spirituality and getting away from woo-woo spirituality and more into grounded consciousness. I think that's, we've had a really divided society from, people don't like to talk about, woo-woo spirituality, and getting more into more grounded practicality. How do we use spirituality in a grounded practicality way and business principles?
Yes, and you know what's really ironic about all this? Before I was even doing the Abundance Whispering for Your Business, I got the idea to start a referral system for what I call metaphysical business owners. So I put in my database MBOs, and these are people that either have a business in metaphysics or they have a regular business, but they're more into spirituality or higher consciousness. So I wanted to, because I feel like people now want to do business with people that are conscious, that have a higher consciousness, that are into spirituality. So I actually started, gathering, entrepreneurs, like lists of people, because when people ask me, do you know someone, do you know a good realtor, do you know a good massage therapist, I go to the people first who I know that either study metaphysics, who are more spiritual, because that's what people are looking for. And then, for an example, when I go get a massage now, I actually ask for a Reiki practitioner. Even like at Burke Williams, they actually offer Reiki there. But now when I go and do if I have business with someone or I work with someone, I want to make sure that they have a higher consciousness or they're into that. So I think you're right. We're on the same page as we're looking, and I think not just us, but more people are looking for people who do business that are very conscious, that are into, have a spiritual background or do spiritual, principles in the morning or meditate or do prayer. But I think that's really important, and I believe our society is shifting that way for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's becoming more fascinating, and even there's a lot of authors that are even shifting. They're using different principles, and they're using more words like integrity in their work and authenticity. And a lot of authors are actually shifting in that direction, and their titles, just in their work and how they're actually using their wording. It's very fascinating to watch as society shifts more in that way. I do want to let everyone know that we are on Intention Radio. Please make sure you go check out www.intentionradio.com, and please make sure you go actually check out the intentioncall.com. every Saturday at 3 p.m. They have a great call called the Intention Call. And an intention call, they actually have a wonderful intention. The intention about world prayer, or they're intending about something wonderful. So please go check out intentioncall.com and intentionradio.com. And we are going to finish out this call talking about more energy and abundance and spirituality. And welcome back, Cristi.
Thank you, Carly.
And also, since this is also a podcast, please let everyone know where they can find you.
Well, my website is theabundancewhisperer.com.
So I'd actually like to also still tie in a little bit about what your thoughts are on abundance and energy, because I really want to drive home more about that, because I really don't think still people really understand the impact of energy and abundance, how important the two are tied into each other. I mean, we talked a little bit about, feng shui a little bit. We've talked about how important, we talked a lot about clutter, because clutter really is the key. Clutter is key. If your home is cluttered, here's the thing, mind, body, spirit, business, and that's why all my titles are mind, body, business, spirit, because here's the thing, if any one of those things are out of whack, it affects the other. They're all interrelated. So if there's clutter in any of those, there's clutter in your mind, there's clutter in your body, there's clutter in your spirit, there's clutter in your business, any of those that are cluttered in any which shape or form is going to affect the other. So key to any of that is decluttering all of those to getting flow in your abundance. And underlying all that is energy. So I really want to drive home the point that energy is everything anyway, how important the energy is to unlocking the abundance factor.
Well, energy has to flow. It just naturally flows, and abundance flows. Money is energy. People don't, some people don't understand that. That's why, like you're saying, it's tied in together. Energy has to flow, money has to flow. Now, if you have clutter in your home, and my definition of clutter is anything you do not love and do not currently use, it's not just little piles of messes in the house. But if you love it and you use it, it's going to be the highest form of energy. Now, in the back of your mind, like if you do have clutter, or you're thinking, oh, I should be going through my attic, or I should clean out my car, that's literally blocking in your consciousness where abundance is trying to come in. And abundance can come in with divine ideas, like your intuitive ideas. That's where everything starts, is with an idea. That's why, like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, it starts with an idea, and then you manifest it out. But you have to have clarity. So energy has to move just like abundance moves, and that's why they're tied in. They're tied together. So if you have clear energy, if you have things that you only love and use in your home, in your car, then it's much easier to hear your intuition. To receive the ideas that actually bring about the abundance. It has to start in your consciousness first. Then it manifests out into the universe.
So expand on that a little bit more, because you got to remember, we're talking to a very wide audience. I want people to understand, since we are talking to a wide audience, that not just the metaphysical people, because again, we're not just talking to, you and I understand what we're talking about. Let's realize not everybody is going to be the metaphysical, spiritual, even though this is the show is Conscious Co-Creations, this is also going out to a wide audience. I want someone that maybe isn't the spiritual, metaphysical person to really get what we're saying.
Let me see. So energy, well, even in science, okay, scientists say that the whole universe is energy. So we're energy, everything in the universe is energy. So you can actually conclude that everything that we own is an extension of our energy. So if we're not feeling good about our items, feeling good about it, if your energy is low, how does that blocks abundance, from coming in? And I believe that we were created abundant, and that's why money, like I said, money is energy. Money has to move. Money has to flow. Anyone who's trying to hoard money, like just keep it, don't spend it, they, either their car will break down or some kind of mishap will happen, and then the universe is almost forcing you to flow out that money. So it is interchangeable. It's just abundance it's just, I think we're born with it, but we have to flow. We have to let it flow by having a clear consciousness, by having, you know, a clear home, a clear car. But yeah, I believe it is totally connected, energy and abundance. And people that don't even believe, you know, aren't even metaphysical or believe in it, it's great to test it. Just go clean a drawer. You know what I'm saying? Just go clean a bookshelf. Because it's fun to test it, and they're amazed that they'll literally get unexpected check in the mail. Like, oh my goodness, that's the flow of abundance. You're actually opening up that energy for it to flow in much easier. I believe it's already there, but we kind of unknowingly actually are blocking it. It's already there. It's already for us to support us here, I believe.
The other thing I always try and tell people too is that whether we like it or not, in this realm that we're in now, in this incarnation, or whatever you want to call it, the currency that we are in right now is dollars. So that is the currency that we're using right now. So people don't understand, it's like, you know, the energy, the currency is dollars. So whether we like it or not, that's the abundance factor in this planet, in this realm, in this earth. It's like, so, you know, we need to accept that. You know,
exactly.
Back then, when we first got here, when there was the barter system, and yes, there is still a barter system. There are people that do live on the land, that live off the land, that do still implement the barter, and there are websites that still do barter. There are people that do part barter, part pay. However, there still is the dollar system in place, so we need to accept that. And that is the way the world is monetarily using at this moment and in this time. And I think, you know, and so it's like we need to get in that mindset. And there's nothing wrong with being in an abundant mindset. There's nothing wrong with that. I just wish people would get out of this guilt mindset, saying that, you know, and I also, this is the other thing. I always tell people, if you really feel guilty about having money, take the money and do something good with it. In other words, okay, take the money, and now I also have another thing. Instead of a handout, you know, in terms of, because that's not really going to help someone. Just giving someone money, that just to give them money isn't going to help someone. Give someone money and teach them a tool to do something with. In other words, give them an education, a tool to then go help them become something. Don't just hand them money and then go, okay, here's money. Let them actually give them something that's going to be useful so that they can become self-reliant. Because just giving someone money isn't going to solve a problem. Giving someone money who's poor just to give them money isn't going to solve a problem. You know, become wealthy in other words, become wealthy to solve a problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you don't. If you feel guilty about having money, then you should be releasing it. You should flow it out to people to support. You know, like educate them or support whatever whatever you're connected to. You know, like women's rights or women in other third world countries. But yeah, just don't. If you feel bad about it, then do something good with it, like you're saying, for sure.
Like I was just part of a project called Billions Rising, which is all about self-reliance. It's teaching people how to become self-reliant. And to me, that's really important, because if we don't teach people, becoming part of a system, which, right now we have a country of people that are on systems, instead of giving people money, in other words, to help them get off the system, but giving them the tools to become self-reliant. That's part of the problem we have in the culture today, is we give money, but we don't give people the tools to become self-reliant. So I love this project that just came out, because this project is all about teaching people how to become self-reliant. And also there's a lot of loans out there for third world countries where the money that the loans that they're giving, these microloans, is about, again, these microloans are to help people become self-reliant. I love the third world, the microloans, because those microloans, they actually, and the great part about these microloans is that you really do get the money back, first of all, and these loans are like, they're small loans, right? You always get the money back. The percentages of people not paying them back are like really, really slim, And these loans are really to help these people become self-reliant. That's the thing. Like, and I'm a huge proponent also for paying it forward. However, I always do paying it forward very differently. For me, paying it forward isn't about a handout. For me, paying it forward is about a hand up. It's like literally, and also it's like when you are doing an act, or for me, paying it forward is about the ripple effect. It's literally about, visualizing the ripple effect, okay? It's literally about doing it without an attachment to the outcome. When you're giving to other people, you can't have, yes, you want to see good, you want to see the ripple effect be a good ripple effect. Do it without having in your mind an attachment to the outcome. You don't give an expectation of receiving. That's just a natural thing that's going to happen anyway. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
You have to be a person that gives because you choose to and for no other reason. That has to be your natural instinct. I mean, I'm a natural giver anyway, but I don't do it with I gave to Cristi, therefore she absolutely owes me. If you're keeping score, then you're not doing it with the proper intention. Yeah. You have to naturally have an intention because that is your natural intention. You can't have the intention of keeping score. That is not, you have to have the consciousness and the intention going in. And for me, it's all about literally teaching people self-reliance and literally helping people up, not just giving to give to, drown them. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I totally agree on that.
So what do you do in that kind of space? I mean, what did you do, like, I don't know, in the world of charity, or in those types of things?
Well, I love equality now. I love supporting. Actually, for me, it's about women, supporting women outside of outside the United States, supporting them because we do have probably the most freedom in the universe. So that's one of the charities I love, and I love to also support other spiritual leaders out there like Wayne Dyer, Byron Katie, people who are really making a difference. So the one that I'm usually on all the time is Equality Now. That's like my go-to charity, and then I'll just pick and choose as I go. But yeah, if you want to have that money flowing out and supporting like, especially for me, the spiritual leaders out there, but also for women, for me, supporting women who don't have the voice that we have in the United States.
What has been for you a mentor that you really admire that has literally made an impact in your life today?
Probably Mary Williamson, because she came to, or the teachings of A Course in Miracles came to me when I was unemployed. I was unemployed, and then within a month that someone reminded me that she was doing her teachings every Monday night, and then I went to go see her, and then I got A Course in Miracles literally the next day. And while I was unemployed, I was studying that book 5 to 6 hours a day. I was doing the lessons, and I just finished the text part of the book, which is like almost 700 pages. So she's probably the biggest impact because I saw a major difference when I was studying the Course in Miracles, and I just am really, like, I don't know, she's just all about empowerment. And now I think that she's running for Congress. To have a light worker, to have someone with her consciousness in the political realm is very exciting.
So speaking of government and seeing people that light workers, or how would you like to see our government, or see our government shift? What would you see our role like in difference in having our political system with light workers in there?
Oh my God, to me it would just be amazing. Even like Mary Williamson would be like one of the first to get in there, but it would be a whole new shift. I mean, we definitely would have less wars. It would be more like for the people, like really, I think more of a connection between government and people. Right now it's very separated, and we need to bring that back as the government is for us, not against us. So I see it as very magical, very wonderful. The more light workers we can get in, of course, in our government, the better. And we're here to raise consciousness, or the people that know that are here to raise consciousness. But it would just be a more relaxed, society. It wouldn't be so fear-based. I think that's really the key, because fear and love cannot reside in the same space. So we definitely need more love in our government, for sure.
And do you think there's the, I know like when Ron Paul was running, there was tons of controversy, and you know how that went down. What do you think the odds are? I mean, do you think she has a really, I know a lot of people are really rooting for her. What do you think the odds of her actually getting in?
You know what? I don't know. I never can, whenever politics is happening, it's always like, you know what, to me, I believe that, we really are under the universal energy, or God's control of everything. So I don't know about the odds of her getting. All I can do is hope that she does get it. So I don't know, if she is, but I believe that if she does or doesn't, that is still a huge step, for someone to actually go and do what she's doing. So to me, it's progress no matter what.
I agree. I think the fact that she's doing it is absolutely amazing, and I agree with you. Whatever happens, it definitely is progress. It's no different than Obama running and Obama getting in. It's despite whatever he has or hasn't done, the fact that he actually got in is progress and the direction. Whether people like him, I'm not even going to get into that. Whether people liked him or didn't, or what he has or hasn't done is irrelevant at this point. I think the fact that he's even gotten in is progress towards society in general.
Yeah.
Regardless of the politics, which I'm not going to get into. I agree with you. The fact that she's running is fabulous, and whatever the outcome of that is, which I hope she does get in personally, whatever the outcome is, I think, again, it would be immensely amazing. Just the fact that any of this is happening is amazing. I think it would be amazing progress for our society. And
Yeah.
I agree, having the more light workers that we can have. I think in general, light workers all around the world are just rallying in general so that we can have less political wars in general, and then beyond political wars in general, and just getting towards a more peaceful society. And that would be a wonderful thing.
Exactly. That would be great.
And just in general, I think I think the biggest thing I also see in this country in general is, like I said, the divide between, because the more we can get people away from woo-woo consciousness, because the thing is, what we have, like I said, is that divide between woo-woo consciousness and consciousness, because the general society, that's why they've gotten away from spirituality. They don't want to hear woo-woo consciousness. You can't talk to someone from that place. They're like, oh, get me away from that. And we can talk to people from a place that they can hear spirituality and consciousness, then they're more apt to be open and listen. But if we're talking to them in like woo land, they're like, what the hell? There's like fairies walking around tiptoes. You know what I'm saying? If we can talk to them from a grounded, consciousness way, their ears are going to open, their eyes are going to open, and they're going to listen. So we need to find a common ground language. If we're just going love, 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 they're not going to, they're like, go away. So if we can have more open discussions that are more easily understood, and a more language that's easily understood, I think we can reach so many more people. And I just think that is I don't know, for me that's just a much greater way to go, and having more conversations like this where people can actually hear. To me, that's just a greater service to everyone, so they can actually hear more.
I totally agree.
So, what are some? I'd love for you to also, like, I always like to bring tools out for people so people can walk away with some tools. So, what are some tips and tools that you can tell people, like, here are some steps. So So lay out some steps for people. Here's some steps that are really good for you to do to not walk into the trap of, getting into the space of clutter.
Well, I would say a lot of people get overwhelmed when they look at their house and what all needs to be done, but really it's about taking the first step. So taking like your junk drawer. I say, I tell people, why don't you just take your junk drawer, put it in front of the TV, and go through it. Go through what you don't love, you don't use. It can be donated, it can be recycled, it can be regifted, but make it entertaining. I think people think that because they have so much to do, they don't do anything, But if you show the universe you're willing to start, you'd be amazed how much more energy you have just by doing a drawer. Like, okay, great, and then you feel so much better. I mean, it really changes your own energy, and then you get more. You have more energy, then you want to keep going. But I think for people, it's really about taking the first step, just doing a small little area. Or if they want to be more aggressive, maybe do their closet. Go through. That should be done every season, but go through. Have I worn this in the last year? If not, then donate it. But I think for people, yeah, just taking a little step, like a little baby step. The whole house doesn't have to be done, in one day. But if you show the universe you're serious and you're willing to release, then you'll be amazed. You're just amazed how easy it is to keep going. And there's always help out there. But you just doing the first step and going through what you don't love and don't use and releasing it will really start the ball going.
You just brought up a very valuable tip right there. Get help. If you have the monetary means, by all means, get help. There's VAs out there, virtual assistants that can help you too. If it's emails that you need to have people sort through, that type of thing, get a virtual assistant. If you have the money to hire someone like Cristi, get someone like Cristi to come in. Usually, they'll have teams. I know, I have teams that, everybody has different people that, you can hire to bring in. So, use those type of resources. Don't be afraid to, if you don't want to do it by yourself, by all means, bring somebody in. Don't feel like you have to do it by yourself. If you're overwhelmed, get help. So don't feel like you have to do it by yourself and be in that state of overwhelm. So that is, an excellent tool.
Yeah, I totally agree. If people are thinking, well, I don't have the finances to hire someone right now, then just doing a baby step, just taking a little baby step. But you're right, even when I started doing my prosperity projects in my old place, I actually hired an organizer to come in because I needed someone to see what I couldn't see. So we have our emotional attachments. So when you bring in someone who's not emotionally attached to your items, it's a much more powerful session. So I always advocate to hire someone to come in if you can, because it's going to go so much smoother. You won't be as overwhelmed, and it gets done. That's the most important thing. Otherwise, we procrastinate, and we're going into New Year, and this is really the ideal time to release things from the past year, especially the clutter that we're not using or loving.
Especially because we're at the end of the year, and it's a perfect time to do it. And again, if you don't have the finances to do it, trust me, there's a way to get it done. If you want something badly enough, there's always a way to get something done. There's something called friends. Seriously, when people tell me, I can't do it, I don't have the finances, I don't have the time, people come up with 1,000 excuses not to get things done. Trust me. There's always a way. If you really want to get it done and you don't have the finances, there's something called friends. So I don't want to hear the excuse, I don't have the time, I don't have the money.
Exactly. So, yeah, you're right. And I say the same thing after I work with someone. I'm like, look, I can come back, or you can do this on your own, or you can have the friend come over and this is the thing, when your friends come over, they much more would like to go through your stuff than their own. So if you can say, hey, Susie, can you come up for a couple hours on Saturday? I need your help in the garage. They'll come over and if they can get a few items out of that too, that's like their incentive. Whatever you're going to donate and they can take away. So yeah, you're right. There's never an excuse. There's always help if you can't do it on your own. There's people you can hire. There's people for free. But the most important part is take the first step and start doing it. Start to get the ball rolling.
Yes, always, always, always a way.
Yes.
And just make sure you take the first step. And the baby step of saying, I'm going to do it, is the first step. And this has just been absolutely a blast having you on. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this with me. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. You and I have been playing email tag, Facebook tag, phone tag.
Yes.
So, yes, I'm so happy this finally came together. As everyone knows, I always put together a beautiful page with the embedded video, the embedded podcast, please let everyone know where they can find you once again.
At theabundancewhisperer.com.
And yes, we are on intentionradio.com. Please make sure you go check out intentionradio.com. Please also make sure you check out theintentioncall.com. You have been with your host, Carly Alyssa Thorne. You can find me at carlylyssathorne.com. Thank you so much for your spending time with us and taking time out of your busy schedule. Please, if you want to find out any other information or if there's a subject you'd like to learn about, please let us know. I love feedback, so if there's anything you'd love to let me know about that you would like to know more about, please be sure to let us know. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Blessings to everybody. For today, it is good night, and I look forward to seeing everyone another week. So enjoy. Blessings to everybody. And Cristi, thank you so much, and have a beautiful, wonderful day.
Thank you, Carly. You too.
So that is good night for tonight, everyone.